It wasn't supposed to be like this. I thought we had it all figured out. Everything was working, it was good enough. I thought that was enough. But then you came along, and you showed me what I was truly missing. And with the flip of a switch, everything changed. And I'm not complaining. What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out the Quilter Tone Block 202 solid state power amplifier. Let's do it. All right guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, one of you two, down here, why not? My name is Kyle. What I do here is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment, I record it with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into East-Ender thrash riffs, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes that wear wrinkled shirts and don't give a heck, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, sorry for the ridiculous intro, but I'm feeling a little bit spunky today. And that is because we are checking out a piece of equipment that for me really kind of showed me what I was missing when it came to what a solid state amplifier could be. As mentioned in the intro, this is the Quilter Tone Block 202, a 200 watt solid state power amplifier that has a full set of tone controls across the front of the unit, a gain control, a limiter. It has its own built-in effects loop. It has a dedicated signal out. It has a direct line out on the back, and it also has a three-way voicing switch. So you've got three different voicings built into this solid state amplifier, as well as the EQ on the front. There's also reverb, but we don't play weak music, so we don't care about that. So yeah, all those features are cool and obviously very useful for the gigging musician, but what I think is the most special about this unit itself is that it sounds really, really good with a preamp being run into the front of it. This is not any sort of high gain amplifier or anything like that. This is meant to basically just amplify whatever tones that you are putting into it. It is a clean power amplifier. It is a little bit on the larger side, but you could still easily mount this to a pedal board and take it for a fly rig, or use it as a really portable way to amplify your favorite preamp or your favorite distortion pedal. And again, it sounds really, really good. Now, with all that being said, you guys should definitely know that this is a sponsored video. I am being paid to share this with you guys here on the channel, but it originally didn't start out like that. Like, I was talking to John over at Quilter, we were discussing some things, and he asked me if I wanted to check out one of their power amplifiers because I had never used any Quilter stuff before, but I've heard a lot of people ranting and raving about these things, especially in the hardcore community. In fact, the last time I talked to the guys from Earth Crisis, they were running a Line 6 HX Stomp with a Quilter Tone Block as their power amp source. And they were flying around the world with that rig, so I kind of figured, dude, if it's good enough for a legendary band like Earth Crisis, pretty sure it'll fit the bill for me. So John went ahead, he got one of these things in the mail, and he said, just try it out, let us know what you think, no obligations, no pressure, we want to hear your feedback. And my feedback is this. No, but really, the very first time I plugged it in and used it, I was like, dude, this thing is a game changer for me because I've always kind of struggled with the voicing of a lot of these solid state power amps. They just never seem to be able to get things quite right in certain mid frequencies and certain high end frequencies, and I just felt like immediately I was able to voice the preamp exactly as I wanted it to sound through the power amp and make it sound not only good but convincing, as if you weren't playing a solid state power amp or as if you didn't know it right away. So I was a believer like right out of the gate, not really expecting much. I already have other solid state power amps that I like to use for amplifying preamp pedals and stuff like that. But again, as soon as I plugged into this thing, I knew that this was going to take over as my main power amp for that reason. I think it sounds really, really good. And today I'm gonna share that with you guys here. I'm gonna run a couple of tube preamps into it just to kind of show you like how good this thing sounds in comparison to the built-in power amp of a big expensive tube amp. But I've also got a couple of my favorite preamp pedals here, and we're gonna run those through for a quick test as well, just to show you guys how good of a tone you can get with the Quilter Tone Block and your favorite preamp pedal. So with that being said, I have a fun little setup here. We actually have two identical Engel 2x12 guitar cabinets. I'm going to run the preamp out of the 6505 into the Quilter, but I'm also going to compare it with the built-in tube amplifier that you get in every 5150 6505, just to kind of show you guys how those tones compare. And then we're gonna switch it over to the Synergy, because Synergy makes a unit called the Syn 1, which is essentially a little housing or a little box that you can put one of their tube preamp modules in. And you can also mount that to a pedal board if you wanted to. So basically think of it as like, that's how we were using it. We were running just one of the preamps into this on a pedal board, because again, this thing to me is all about creating awesome portable rigs. And then finally, we will check it out with the preamp pedals just by themselves. So with that being said, here is the tone of just the 6505 on its own. So now we are gonna run the preamp out of the 6505 into the Tone Block 202. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about when I say that this thing sounds incredible. Like immediately I was just having fun playing through it. No, it doesn't nail the 6505's power amp exactly, but it does sound really, really good. It feels good, which is important too. It reacts much more like, it has a less sterile feel to it overall, but tonally is what I am usually primarily concerned with, because tonally, man, this thing sounds excellent. That is a tone that I would have absolutely no problem going out and gigging with like any day of the week. Really, really think that that sounds great. So real quick back to back, and then we'll switch over to the Synergy. So yeah, it sounds really, really good. Feels great to play. The main differences that I'm noticing are in the mids. This seems to have like a little bit of a colder sounding upper mid section, but again, sounds really, really good, and that's what's important. So real quick, let's switch over to the Synergy. All right, guys, Synergy, we are going through the 50 watt power section of the Syn 50 here, and we are on the Friedman BE Deluxe module. And that is with all the controls literally at noon. So on the Synergy, I actually have the bass controls basically maxed out, because that Friedman module is very light on the low end. Over here, we could literally just bump the bass by 2 notches. And we have more low end than even the amplifier itself can produce. And it sounds really, really good. Again, it's not dead on, but it sounds super, super good. So this is in the full voicing. There's also an FR voicing and a vintage voicing. So if you were running this into like an unpowered FR speaker, you would flip it over there and it would give you that flat range, full response, or whatever that is. Again, it's a little flatter sounding. It doesn't have quite as much character, but in some situations, you're gonna want that. So let's head over to the vintage voicing. With the vintage voicing, we have a lot more high end, so let's dial the treble back. So depending on what your use case is, you've got 3 different voicings on top of those EQ controls to really kind of fine tune how things sound. I personally like it in the full setting. That's where it sounds the most natural to me. Yeah, dude, I really like that. That sounds fantastic. Let's check out the Ubershaw module. Alright guys, so if I had that tone on a pedal board and that was what I had to basically play a show with, if that was my rig, a Sin 1 with that preamp module and this power block on a pedal board, I would be beyond happy with that. That sounds so good. But where I really think that most people will probably be using a solution like this is with an actual dedicated preamp pedal, at least as far as like guitarists go. So let's check it out with a preamp pedal. All right guys, so we are running into the Westminster Effects 2716 preamp pedal, and we are just basically running that straight into the pedal, into the tone block, into the angle cab, and here's what we have. So to me, that sounds really good. It's definitely got like a 5150 vibe going on. The low end of the tone block can get huge, but it's really punchy overall. It doesn't really, like, it kind of has a little bit of a give, a little bit of a sag to it, but generally it's in more of those like punchy, like upper low frequencies, if that makes any sense at all. It's definitely gonna give you percussive palm mutes, but you might need to add an EQ pedal or something in between your preamp pedal and the power amp itself if you want to add some of those like lower frequencies, such as like 100 hertz or below, if you want to really fill things out, get that wall of sound thing going on. But on its own, man, it sounds really good. Let's switch over to the Soldano pedal, the SLO, or the Super Lead Overdrive Soldano pedal. This is one of my favorite preamp pedals. Alright, so as you can see with a pedal like the Soldano that does fill out those lower frequencies, it has no problem recreating those. That's awesome. That's definitely part of the 200 watt power delivery. Is the more power that you have, especially with a solid state power amp, the more headroom you're going to get for those low frequencies. So it's able to recreate those super low frequencies. Let's turn off the deep switch on the Soldano though. Let's hit it with an right, guys, that's gonna do it for me today on the Quilter Tone Block 202. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of this thing. I think that it sounds really, really good. Does it perfectly recreate the tube amp that you're sending a signal out from, possibly, or that you're trying to recreate? No. But what is important is it sounds really, really good and gives you lots of tonal options and flexibility and headroom in order to be able to basically recreate the sounds that you want in a super light and portable package. Seriously, I am a huge fan. This thing is gonna go on my pedal board for travel rigs and stuff like that moving forward in the future. And then we are also going to be doing some future preamp pedal demos, and I'm definitely gonna be using this for that because in my opinion, this one just kind of sounds the most legit to me. It really, really does do a great job. And I like it. So, of course, I wanna know, what are your thoughts? What did you think about the tones that I was able to get in this video? Do you have any experience with any of the Quilter products yourself? Do you love them? Do you dislike them? Whatever it is, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll be sure to meet you guys down there to talk about it. I'm actually legitimately excited to see what you guys have to say and see if you recommend something that I've never heard of in the Quilter lineup before that you might think is even better than the Tone Block 202. If you guys would like to pick up a Tone Block for yourself, I've got Zounds and Sweetwater affiliate links. If you guys use those links, it costs you nothing extra, but I get a little bit of a kickback off of the sale, and it greatly helps me move forward. It helps me do more cool, fun things with the channel, and I really appreciate it. That's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.